Aloha, it's Robert with Blue Planet Surf. I'm going to do some updated assembly instructions for our Easy Foiler foils. We made some small changes to the hardware, so I just wanted to go over that. We also kind of made the masts a little bit stronger. It does come with the instruction manual, which we just recently updated. I think it's easier to show on video how to do it. So I'm going to go over all the parts and how it all works and how it goes together. Okay, so let's start first with the hardware. We have 4 different size screws here. The first ones are 2 M6 by 60 millimeter screws. Those are the ones you need for the tuttle mount to put it into the board. The next size down is the M6 by 40 millimeters. These are for the mast. And then we have the M6 by 30 millimeters, which are for the front wing. So these shorter ones, the small ones, are for the tail wing. These are M5 by 15 millimeters. The tools that you need that are not included with the foil are a rubber mallet that's going to help you get it all together tightly, and then a PH3 Phillips head number 3 screwdriver. It has that wider tip. That's what you need for the bigger screws to get them tight onto your board when you tighten on the tuttle box and the bigger screws, and then just a regular Phillips head 1 screwdriver. Those are the tools you need. So before we start assembling it, we're going to put on some Ultra Tef gel. This is like an anti-seize lubricant that we recommend, and we sell it at our shop for $12 if you don't have any. We'll actually include it for free with the foil, but I'm going to put a little bit to this applicator tip. So it takes, you don't want to put a lot, just a little bit. It just needs to go in the threads, so that way the salt water can't get into the threads. Basically, it keeps the salt water out of the threads and keeps it from corroding. So I'm going to put some in the front 2 screws here for the front wing, and then 2 in the 2 small back wing screws, just a little bit. So just to get a little bit in the threads, and then there's 4 threads on the mast. Basically, if you don't disassemble the foil every time, the salt water can get in between the threads, and then that can cause corrosion, and eventually it can seize up, and then it can be impossible to take your foil apart again. So you just want to keep that either fully disassembled on a regular basis, or you have to use the anti-seize lubricant regularly. So this is the fuselage. Let's start with that. The bottom of the fuselage has the screws, and then the top has the insert for the mast. So this is up and this is down. The foil, the blue part is up, these stripes are down. So make sure you put it in correctly this way. So the screw holes are all on the bottom. You might have to kind of bang it a little bit to get it on there tight, and bang it on the back too. But just want to make sure the holes line up properly. And then for this, use the shorter M6 screws. So the fat screws, the shortest ones, go into the front wing here. Okay, so then we're ready to put in the tail wing. And once again, you want to make sure that all the holes, the screw holes, are on the bottom, and these stripes are on the bottom side, okay? So make sure you don't try to put it in upside down. And then you want to make sure it's on tight, the holes are lining up. This one gets these smaller screws. Just screw those in there, and this one you just use a regular Phillips head number 1 screwdriver. Now I'm going to put the mast in. The mast has kind of a little bit rounder edge on the front and a little bit pointier edge in the back, so make sure you put it in the right way forward. Should go in there nice and tight. And then use the longer M6 screws. So make sure everything's nice and tight. Especially these 2 screws, you should check them regularly to make sure they're still tight. And I prefer using a hand tool. That way you don't over tighten it. You get nice and tight, you have a better feel for how much pressure you put on there. So these foils are 100% carbon fiber with high density foam inserts in the front wing and the tail wing. And then the mast is full carbon fiber, the fuselage is full carbon fiber. And we built these pretty tough. We didn't want them to fall apart as soon as they touch something. Yeah, so that's how you put together your foil. Okay, so to install it on your board, slide it into the tuttle box. Get it in there nice and tight, and then lean it over on the side and put the M6 screws in here. And once again, these screws, there's a lot of forces that go on these screws when you're riding, because all your weight is on the foil. So these screws take the full body weight riding on them, and they need to be real nice and tight. So after you tighten them down, what I like to do is, set it on the ground and push on it real good and make sure it doesn't wiggle. Put a foot on it even. Check it, make sure there's no wiggle at all. If there is, just tighten it down some more. Get them real tight. You don't want that to come loose during your session. All right, and now I'm ready to go in the water. So when you're done using the foil, you can just put on the covers. They go on just real easy to put on. You can just slip them over, attach the middle, Velcro together. Same for the tail wing. Just slides on and Velcros together in the middle. So when you're taking your foil apart, I like to always put the screws back where they belong, and the threads where they belong. Just loosely screw them in there. That way you're not going to lose them and keep the washers with them. Just always keep it all together. Put them back on the foil. All right, thanks for watching this little video on how to assemble the Easy Foiler foils. Thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Aloha.